What's something that we saw, Ms. O'Kelly?
That in the professional learning teams, it's okay to have conflict and to discuss the differences as opposed to, just keeping the peace and kind of avoiding, any disagreements you may have.
I agree. So what's the important part of being able to have a productive conflict?
That it's in a safe environment.
It's in a safe environment. So we have to have that high level of trust, and it has to be a safe environment where I can ask a question and not worry about, is it okay for me to ask that, or should I already know that? The only way for us to get better is for us to put it all out there and have those conversations. And it's okay to make a mistake if we learn from the mistake. That's the key that we have to remember. And it's okay to get something wrong as long as we have a chance to get better because of it. So I agree, that's something that jumped off the page of me. What else?
For me, it was members see themselves as interdependent, sharing ownership for the success of all students.
Okay. So we have to be in it together. Our personalities aren't always going to be lock and key, right? But if we focus on what separates us, then the people that are hurt the most are who? It's the kids, right? A good example is if I have a regular ed teacher and an EC teacher who don't see eye to eye on a type of instruction. The person that's going to be affected the most is a kid, who might need a different style of instruction. And that's what we have to maintain focus on is how do I support my teammate? How do I support the whole team to make sure that every kid gets the best education that they can? Agree. What else?
I was just gonna say the, productive conflict stood out for me, but almost, it's not that I don't have trust, but for me, like, conflict would be a trigger, and so that would be something that it's probably the thing that I would have to work on the most, because to me, conflict is a negative thing. I know you can kind of hash out things, but for me, that's something personally I will need to work on, because it's not something that I do almost everything to avoid conflict.
And that's come up in every PLC that we've had, all four of them, and that's exactly right. The key is without having tough conversations, we can't get better. And what we have to get away from is forcing who we're talking to pick the exact right word. Because it's hard to pick the exact right word 100% of the time. And if I accidentally say something that is maybe one step too far, that can't hurt the relationship that we built, because if it does, who does it hurt? It hurts the kids. And so it's having that open conversation and not having to worry about picking the exact right word at the exact right time. Because if I don't, if we're trying to have those conversations, I'm going to say something that maybe I shouldn't have, not on purpose, not with any ill intent, just because we're having an open discussion, and it has to be, all right, that's coming from the place of us getting better together, not coming from a place of he's being very critical, or she's being very critical of me as a colleague, or me as a teacher, or any piece like that. What else? What about one of our PE guys?
What do you think? You get a chance to, maybe something go well, and you discuss things that maybe you did, maybe somebody else did the same lesson, and that you kind of like, and it went well for them, you kind of rethink things and figure things out for you.
That's right. And it's that open collaboration. It talks about that in the third row where it says, seek to identify and amplify instructional practices. Well, how do we identify new instructional practices if we're only seeing ourselves, right? That's the purpose of professional development workshops, and that's the purpose of seeing other people teach us, so that I can pick up something and add it to my toolbox and talk about what went well. So it's making sure that we're having that in focus.
I think in that same thing, the rethinking what we do, it's very hard as teachers, because since this is what we do, it's such a part of ourselves, to have to reflect on how we're doing things and change it, because I know for the most part, we all think that we're doing everything perfectly, we're great, and to me that might be a little hard to do, to rethink something when I think that maybe necessarily I don't need to change it, or am I making sense?
You are. Yes.
Okay.
If it works in the past, why not keep it? Well,
Right.
a potential answer would be is because why not make it better? Just because it was good doesn't mean that it
Right.
can improve. People spend hundreds and thousands of dollars trying to make their car go 2 or 3 miles an hour faster, or pull something 10 or 15 feet further, right? My truck's great. What can I do to make it better? My lesson was really good. how do I improve it, you know, so being able to have those discussions. Eric, what do you think? What jumped off you, to you from the page?
Basically, a collection of all of those. The last one really stuck out as success from all students and collective work, put all our ideas together, sending out the minutes and curriculum and stuff like that. We can basically get ideas from all of each other, you know, basically what everybody's doing. Choose an idea, like you said, add it to the toolbox.
And I think our teachers do a really good job of going into the meeting minutes and seeing what other teachers are working on. Mr. Kelly does a fabulous job of it, and say, all right, well, if the history teachers are working on this week, I can pull that right into my music lesson. And that's the purpose of those minutes going out is, I don't have to go ask Jordan Biggs, hey, what are you doing in class today? I can look at the curriculum meeting minutes and say, all right, I can have some idea, and I can go get more information if I want, but I have that broad idea without having to go across campus to ask the question. When I look at the second row, first column, in traditional teacher teams, it says, no, that's not the one I'm looking for. I'm looking for the first one. It says, hold regular meetings that may sometimes be focused on student learning, but are often primarily focused on school routines and procedures. I think there was a lot of PLC meetings last year where PLC meetings really were an extension of a faculty meeting, right? We covered something in a PLC that didn't have anything to do with student learning. Now, there were plenty of times where we were focused on student learning, but there were some times where, you know, important dates or testing trainings or PDPs or different kind of things like that, you know, filtered in to our PLCs, and we're going to try to avoid that as much as we can this year. Now, there is some overlap. We can do some things in here that are procedural that do affect student learning. That's okay. But then there are some things that we did last year that really probably don't have any place in the PLC. They need to be found somewhere else, whether it's vertical teams or curriculum meetings or team meetings or faculty meetings, but find somewhere else. So this 45 minutes each week can focus on student learning. So that's, you know, one of the ones that stuck out to me, the professional learning teams, is hold regular meetings focused specifically on student learning and only on student learning. So something that I told all the PLCs, and I want, you know, for us all to have this in mind, if at any point we're having a PLC meeting and we ask the question, and we need to ask the question at every meeting, if at any point we're asking the question, how does this affect student learning? And we can't come up with an answer, we probably need to pivot and refocus on what we're doing. If we ask, how is this going to improve student outcomes, and there is no answer, then we're not on target, we need to refocus. The fourth row, the last column, is where our hashtag theme came from this year. I did this at a professional development in Raleigh that me and Mr. Wood are enrolled in, and it said, this worksheet, and where it says, members see themselves as interdependent, sharing ownership for the success of all students. That's where I came up with Stronger Together, right? That's basically what that is in 2 words, is that we're interdependent. I can be successful by myself, but I can't meet my maximum level. I can't do the best that I can without having the support of everybody on board. So it's, I can do well by myself, but I can do extraordinary as a part of the team. So making sure we're using that teamwork as we go. So we'll fill in these questions. You want to do them now? Is that probably a good idea like we did? Maybe let's go and do that. And then I'm going to turn it over to Carrie in just a second.
Okay, while I'm pulling this up, if you guys will go to your computers, almost everybody self-enrolled on the day that we were in the faculty meeting. If you did not, I sent you another email just now. So if you'll look and like Eric, I know you had trouble getting in because of Power School issues. So just go to your email right now. There should be a link from me. And I am going to go to Student View.
And Canvas is one of the apps that's in your NC Ed cloud, single sign-on. So you go to your Ed cloud like you're going to take attendance at Power School, and then I see Mr. Harold's already in there. Click on the Canvas icon inside of your NC Ed cloud. And that's how it links to your gradebook, right? If you go into the single sign-on, everything is linked together.
And if you're having any trouble getting there, let me know.
Can you go through that one?
That's what that is right there.
Yeah, I always use
But do the other one first.
Yeah, no, I use Chrome for everything else, I don't want to close my browser. And that's the issue.
senior class.
Thank you.
Same month? Oh, yeah, yeah, that's right.
I was scrolling through all the pictures.
Here, can you send Patrick the list again? Who's in Charlotte's Web?
He's not in?
That's what I think, oh, here, I see it down, if you go to all courses, like when you're in Canvas, go to all courses, and then click on that, and I had to scroll, it's all the way down at the bottom. I saw it.
So just recently, when I think it's gonna be wrong.
Because I remember signing up for it, so maybe, like on that, or something. Remember doing it for you.
If you have the effective PLC piece pulled up, click the blue button at the top, submit assignment, and that opens the text box at the bottom, and you can answer those 3 questions that are at the top. And they're also at the bottom of your page, so you don't have to scroll up and down if you don't want. But, you know, what characteristics do we currently do well? What's the most intimidating? And then what characteristics are most important? What are our first steps?
And which question, this is where I am.
Submit at the top, submit assignment. That opens the text box.
Did I type that correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, so now